Let's go, guys. It's time. Breaking news. The Chicago Bears have signed the best center on the market. Drew Dalman agrees to a 3-year, $42 million deal to become the new center of the Chicago Bears. Holy cow, guys. Khalil Mack is going back to the Chargers, so let's already wipe the Khalil Mack stuff off. But this is it. The Bears have signed center Drew Dalman from the Atlanta Falcons. Breaking news: the best center in the free agent market is now coming to the Chicago Bears. I'm going to be here to break it all down. Give me just a second, guys, as I'm getting ready. It is Drew Dalman, the newest center of the Chicago Bears. Ryan Poles strikes again. This is huge, guys. The best center in the market is now a Chicago Bear, Drew Dalman. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a little bit about Drew Dalman. If you already don't know anything about Drew Dalman, this is the Chicago Bears' new center, top 5 run blocker. He only has allowed 4 sacks in his entire career. Now, this graphic I made weeks ago, I projected he would get it was actually from Sport Track, a 3-year, $38.9 million contract. He ends up getting a 3-year, $42 million. So only about $3 million over the projection. I said I would have paid him $15 million a season. So I would have went all the way up to $45 million. We got him for less than $45 million. This is huge news for the Chicago Bears. We have signed the best center on the market, and our offensive line has been completely overhauled. We have Joe Thuney at left guard. We have Drew Dalman at center. And then we have Jonah Jackson at right guard. And we should still be able to draft a guard to come in and we want a guy who can play guard or center, and someone in the second round. But Drew Dalman, the newest Chicago Bears center, this is huge, guys. Oh my goodness. He's also an athletic freak. 9.9 on the relative athletic score. He's only 26 years old. This is crazy, guys. We got it done. The offensive line has been overhauled. The biggest question is, now what? What's going on now? Walt just asked me that same question. And Walt wants to go with Chase Young. That would be huge as well, man. But the Bears got Drew Dalman. 3 years, $42 million. The best center on the open market is coming to Chicago. I was worried about this one this morning because the Falcons released one of their best players. Their defensive tackle, Grady Jarrett, got cut. And I thought maybe they were trying a late push to re-sign Drew Dalman, but they did not get it done. And Drew Dalman is coming to Chicago. This is amazing, guys. Drew Dalman, a Chicago Bear. Doug had a good question here. So anyone who remembered, we signed Ricky Stromberg. He's a back. He'll be a guy who's going to be our backup center right now. I think we could still draft someone maybe who has guard center flexibility, but this is huge for the Bears. I also think this move probably opens up the door for the Bears to release Ryan Bates. Very good chance we can release Ryan Bates now and clear up an extra $4 million in cap space. Now that we have Drew Dalman, Joe Thuney, and Jonah Jackson on the interior, this is huge. Yeah, the Bears got Drew Dalman. Yes, sir, Armand. Coming straight from Ian Rappaport. Ian's tweet says, let me I'll actually load up Ian's tweet here so you guys can see it. Give me just a second. Let me save this tweet, and that way you guys will be able to see it. Dalman 2. But it's 3 years, $42 million. This is huge, guys. Can we grab Trey? Ooh, no, I don't know about Trey. I don't know about Trey. I don't know about wanting to give up the draft picks now, especially after giving up this much money here. I would say, oh, that's tough, man. I would say probably not. Give me 1 second. I'm uploading this. We got the official word from Ian Rappaport here, just so you guys can see that it's actually official. This is the tweet from Rapp. I know Twitter's been down for a lot of people too, so I don't know if people will even be able to see this. But this is the official. The top center in free agency is now off the board as Falcons center Drew Dalman is heading to the Bears to become the NFL's second highest paid center. Dalman gets 3 years and $42 million with $28 million guaranteed, per Ian Rappaport. Huge deal by the Chicago Bears, locking up easily the best center on the market, Drew Dalman. This is huge. Let's show you a little something else here too. We got a little picture of so you can see the official. There it is. The Bears are signing Drew Dalman, the newest Chicago Bear, guys, completing the overhaul of this offensive line. J2K is happy. We finally got a center. Man, after going through the Sam Mustipher, all the stuff we've been through over the last few years, and to now land the best center on free agency, and he's going to have Joe Thuney to his left. This offensive line has been upgraded in a major way. This is what we've wanted, guys. This is the offensive line overhaul that we've all wanted heading into this offseason. We needed a new offensive line, and now we have it. Drew Dalman, he's the center right up the middle, setting the tone. And then to his left, Joe Thuney, Braxton Jones. To his right, Jonah Jackson and Darnell Wright. This is huge, guys. This is the deal that, oh my goodness. Heading into today, I know a lot of people were talking about Khalil Mack, and Khalil Mack's a great story. And I said it on a tweet yesterday. Someone asked, if you had to make one move today, who would it be? I said, it's Drew Dalman, but my heart might say Khalil Mack. For anyone who's late, though, or anyone who didn't see the news earlier, Khalil Mack is headed back to the Chargers. That's another move that came in. He signed a 1-year deal, and it looks like Hassan Reddick is going to the Buccaneers. So that's another one of the pass rushers who's off the market here. Hassan Reddick to the Bucs. Chris Godwin is also going back to the Bucs. Let's see. I can also give you guys an updated list of other moves that have happened around the NFL. But what are your thoughts on us signing the top center in the draft? I see questions about cap space. It's going to be somewhere between 10 and 20 million right now. I think right now worrying about the cap space isn't a huge deal. Depending on what happens next, we still have a lot of the cap is fluid. There's a lot of moves. We still have so much flexibility that we can still make a lot of moves here. We could save 11 million by cutting 2 players. We could save 20 to 30 million by doing a couple of contract extensions. So 50. Oh, DJ, there was a lot of other little moves in there as well that Sport Track hasn't even calculated yet. So we're still waiting on official numbers for that, but I would say somewhere over 20 million for sure in operating money that we can actually spend. But we also don't know how Drew Dalman's contract was structured either. So this is where it makes it tough, because people will just make assumptions based on what he signed, but we don't know how that contract was structured. Let me see if I can update this. Yep. So these are the moves. Let me see. These are the moves that have been made so far today around the NFL. The Chargers brought back Khalil Mack. The Falcons released Grady Jarrett. The Steelers traded for DK Metcalf. That was last night. Aaron Jones re-signed with the Vikings. The Texans signed Sheldon Rankins. And the Bucks have signed Hassan Reddick and Chris Godwin. On top of this, Jonathan Allen, the free agent from the Commanders, he's visiting with the Vikings. Definitely has not signed with them yet, but he is visiting with the Vikings. And then the Chicago Bears coming through with the huge move, signing the best center on the market, Drew Dalman. 3 years, $42 million. This was easily my top target heading into free agency. I've said it a few times in the last week, especially after we signed 2 guards. This was a huge move. Drew Dalman was the #1 center on the market. He is the guy who's going to completely stabilize our offensive line. Now we can head into the draft with not only wanting to go after the best player available, but we can still bring in more help on this offensive line. Remember, guys get hurt. So it's not like we're done with the offensive line, but this is one of those things where we can continue improving the offensive line now. Now we want to bring in guys where, hey, if one of our starters gets hurt, guess what? We have a second-round pick who's ready to come in behind him. Instead of just being like, oh, we're done with the offensive line now. Darren asked, what if Ryan Poles works his magic on Trey Hendrickson with a third-round pick and a 4th next year? I'd say sign me up for it. I don't know if we have I want to spend all of our money on him now. Now that we got Drew Dalman, this is what I wanted most. I honestly thought if we'd made a move for Trey Hendrickson, we'd probably go with more of a value option at center. And Q said Twitter's been up and down. Bro, I haven't even tried because it's just been down all day. For me, at least, it's just been down. J2K says he's glad we don't have to talk about Gray Zabel anymore. I do like Gray Zabel. To me, I find it weird that he's going in first round mocks. I have him as a second round player. I do think I wouldn't completely rule out a Gray Zabel, though. Because if you think about this, right, we head into the second round of the draft. We could probably get a pass rusher in the first round or someone for the defensive line. And then when you're looking at heading into round 2, to me, I'm trying to move my box around here. Here we go. To me, you're looking at what's the best thing we can look in the second round. And adding a guy who is capable of playing center or guard is still very much an option to me. So if you get to the second round and Gray Zabel was on the board, he's still an option. We have to remember, guys, now Drew Dalman is a huge signing, right? This is a huge signing. This is my favorite center on the market. Easily the best center we've had since Olin Kreutz. That's easy. Best center we've had in Chicago since Olin Kreutz. But players still get hurt, and we have to have backup options as well. Because let's remember, even last year, Drew Dalman only played 9 games. He got hurt. He missed 8 games. So it's not like we're just completely set at center now. And it's like, oh, you know what? We don't need a center anymore. I still think, now it doesn't have to be Gray Zabel. So I'm not, J2K, don't take this wrong. I'm not just spilling about Gray Zabel. But I still think we're probably going to take a center at some point in the draft. Now, I do agree with J2K. The odds of it being Gray Zabel are probably much lower right now. And it's probably more of a day 3 pick or maybe even a 3rd round guy. Like if Jared Wilson's there in the 3rd round, that's not bad. If Jonah Monheim's there in round 5, I'm all over Jonah Monheim in round 5. Same if someone like Majors from Texas, if he falls to round 5, I still would love to grab a developmental center. But yeah, right now, after making the move and signing the best center in free agency, the Bears' 2 biggest needs right now are edge and defensive tackle. They're both on the defensive line. And the really good news about that is right now, if you're looking at our targets, this was a list I made this morning before we signed Drew Dalman. Obviously, he was already my number one target. But if you look at the rest of the targets I have on my list for free agents, they're all on the defensive line. So this is perfect. This is Ryan Poles doing exactly kind of what I thought he was going to do. Right. And Ken, I'm actually answering your question right now. Great question, Ken. But if you're asking me what's next, this list on the screen is we signed Drew Dalman, right? Let me clear my throat. That was my number one priority is Drew Dalman. So we got Drew Dalman. Now, this is the rest of the list here. Is Hassan Reddick still? No, I have Hassan Reddick off the list. He signed with the Buccaneers. So Hassan Reddick's gone. Khalil Mack's gone. But look at all this talent we still have on the defensive line, right? So to me, one of these players would make a ton of sense. Chase Young, Matthew Judon, Josh Sweat, Grady Jarrett, the defensive tackle from the Falcons. He was just released this morning. Javon Hargrave from the 49ers. Joey Bosa, Jonathan Allen, Milton Williams, Levi Onwuzurike. There's some other guys as well on the defensive line as well. The Colts guy, his name's tough, Ode Abingo or whatever. He's an edge rusher that has been linked to the Bears. That's another name to watch. There's a lot of guys out there right now. But this is big because not only is free agency set up really nice for the defensive line and what the Bears need, but I've talked about it as well. The draft, the depth in this year's draft is set up perfectly for the defensive line. I think the two positions with the most that are the deepest in this year's entire draft are easily defensive end and defensive line, or defensive end and defensive tackle. Sorry. Defensive end, defensive tackle. I actually made an in-depth video on it like 2 days ago. These are my side-by-side. These are my top 100 ranks in this year's draft, right? So if you're just looking position by position, you can just see here that there's way more defensive tackles and defensive ends. I actually have 22 of my top 100 players are defensive ends. So this draft is actually perfect for the needs that the Chicago Bears have, right? Right now, our two biggest needs, defensive end, defensive tackle. And when you're looking at the draft, it's set up perfectly for us. And when we're looking at free agency here, it's also set up pretty perfectly for us. Or where did I clicked the wrong one? Choop. These are the guys. These are my top free agent targets available now. We obviously signed Drew Dalman. He's off the board. He's a Bear. But then the rest of these defensive linemen, I would try to sign one of these guys. If we could add one of these guys, it would be huge. Oh, Ken coming through, gifting 5 memberships. Hey, thank Ken, guys. If you got a membership, Ken, thank you so much. MVP of the channel. Love it, love it. DJ Profit saying Mason Graham at 10 and Mike Green in the second. I don't think either of those will be available. I'm sorry, man. Mason Graham's not falling to 10. Mike Green's not falling to the second round. I just don't see that happen. Watch us still Washington's wide receiver next. Oh, you're talking about Diami Brown? Is that who you were talking about? He said, release Bates. We need the depth. You're a clown. That's such a funny comment here. Listen, yes, we could use the depth, but we could also use that money to sign someone else and then draft depth as well. There are more than one way. And a guy that has an arthritic shoulder and might not even be able to play isn't depth for your roster. That's a guy who couldn't even stay on the football field. I was in favor of the Ryan Bates move when it was made. But if you're going to sit here and act like you know that Ryan Bates is healthy when there were multiple reports all over the internet last offseason that he has an arthritic shoulder and he might have to retire. So all I said was that was an option. I didn't say we're for sure cutting Bates, but that comment was pure stupidity. My man Kiyu coming through with 5 gifted subs as well. Kiyu, I love it, my man. Coming out of nowhere. Good looking out, my man. The Bears have now added the best center in free agency. Another move here. Looks like Javon Kinlaw not to the Bears here. Javon Kinlaw going to the Commanders. That's another defensive lineman off the board. Javon Kinlaw to the Commanders. He is not on my target list here, though. He was another fit, though. That's how stacked this D-line class was. Another guy not on my list here just got $15 million. He said he can't hear me. You might have your sound muted, brother. I'm pretty sure if my mic wasn't working, somebody would have told me by now. So I'm pretty sure my mic's working. Let's see. No one else having sound issues, right? Just wanted to double check there. But anyone joining late, guys, the Bears have officially done it. Ryan Poles strikes again, signing Drew Dalman. The top center on the free agent market has come to the Chicago Bears and instantly upgraded our offensive line. This completes the overhaul of the offensive line. Now, the offseason is not done yet. We still have a lot of moves to make. We still have to upgrade the defensive line. We still need a lot of depth as well. Jimmy G to the Rams. Oof. I don't know about that one. I don't know. We're looking at somewhere between 20 and 30 million, Raging. We'll get official numbers shortly. Right now, we don't know how his contract is structured. Sport Track is a little bogged down with all of this. I saw that too, J2K. So the Jags have just made Jordan Lewis the highest paid nickel corner in football. He was a great player for the Cowboys. That contract might be for what we resigned Gordon at, Kyler Gordon. Yeah, when you get the details on that contract, throw them up in the chat if you can, J2K, because I do believe working out an extension for Kyler Gordon is another top priority right now, and that's something that the Bears have to be in the midst of doing. So having another corner sign a huge nickel contract, that's something that is interesting for the Bears here and something we have to pay attention to. Let's see. Yeah, he was already on their team last year, Q. That's why I thought he really didn't get it done. Ooh. Is Courtney Cronin reporting 3 years, 48? So the numbers I have are from, I'm going with what Ian Rappaport posted here. He put 3 years, 42. Could it have been 3 years, 48? Sure. But I don't know. I guess we'll look for something else here. But unless it was just Courtney Cronin, I have not seen anyone else report 48 million. I've seen multiple reports of the 42 million here. We'll see if we can get an official word on that, but I believe it's going to be, I'm going with Ian Rappaport here, guys. 3 years, 42 million. Second highest paid center in the NFL. Yeah, Ian Rappaport is a guy that I got to go with it. I've seen it from Ian, and I think I saw it from Shefty as well. So I got to go with that, guys. I'm going to go with what's being seen on NFL Network, what they're reporting on the NFL Network. Schefter and Rappaport both reporting 3 years, 42 million. Evie's saying Google is saying 42 million. Is the Jonah? Oh, great question here by Top 10 Sports. He says, is the Jonah Jackson deal kind of like having a 1-year contract with a team option for a second? Yes, honestly, it is, because he has no guaranteed money in his contract next year. I believe there would be like 3 or 4 million dead cap hit if we cut him, but basically we can save 15 million by cutting him next year. So it's basically a team option. Now it's not like baseball or where there's actual team options. This is one where, but the Bears have the option. They can cut him and save 15 million. So yes, in theory, it is like a team option. Hey, B Shep coming through with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, my man. GOAT Sports Network, my guy. Thank you so much. Google is also saying Golf of America. Look, I'm not getting into that, but No. As of right now, the last move that was reported is Javon Kinlaw to the Commanders, 3 years, $45 million. Let me see something here. Hold on, guys. Oh, snap. Let's see if Walt wants to join and chat with me for a minute. Give me a second. We might have a special guest coming on. My mic's working good. Thank you, Doc. You might be behind though, because I asked that a while ago, just so you know. Next, I would say, so this is what I got next, guys. When I'm looking at our targets, right? We signed Drew Dalman. Someone on this list would make the most sense. Now we could also sign someone that's more of a value signing, someone who's not going to cost as much money. Ryan Poles, now that he got the biggest, he signed our biggest target in free agency. Now he can really go anywhere with this, right? He has a ton of flexibility here. He doesn't have to do anything. He can go into the draft and sign or draft D line, see what happens, and then when he comes back to it, if he doesn't fill the needs in the draft, there's probably still going to be a couple defensive linemen left after the draft. When you look at the amount of defensive linemen available in free agency right now, it's very possible that a few of these guys don't get signed until way after the draft. So that's something to watch here as well. Oh, guys, hey, my man Walt is here as well. I'll go to the other screen in a minute. He doesn't have cam on anyway, but Walt, feel free to jump in and talk. Well, welcome to the show. And what are your thoughts on Drew Dalman to the Bears, my man? Oh, I think he's muted.
No, sorry about that, man. I just had to close.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Yeah. Walt is in the house. No, it's Walt from the Bear Report. Anyone who hasn't seen Walt or followed his channel, I will try to get you a link up in a minute. He's created his YouTube not too long ago. Hendrick's going to want $40 million a year. Oh my goodness.
No, man, great signing, man. I can't wait. Like I said, I sent you that picture. That offensive line is going to cook next season.
I'm opening it up right. I'm going to upload it up.
Yeah, go ahead and use it.
Bears new O-line. Hold on, guys. We got a new picture here. Where'd it go? I lost it. Oh, there it is. This is beautiful, guys. The new Chicago Bears offensive line. Look at this. Drew Dalman in the middle. Joe Tooney on the left. Jonah Jackson flanking him to the right. And then out wide, we got Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright. Huge, guys. Huge. I had the second tier list. It was on my video I made last night, Raging. I don't have it uploaded to StreamYard right now, but it was in my video last night if you wanted to check that out. Woo, how pumped are you, Walt? Scale of 1 to 10, my man.
I got to say like a 15, 16 maybe.
15 or 16.
No, man, it's just crazy. You know, we've been calling for a new center for what, 4 or 5 years now, easy.
Man,
and,
easy.
You know, we finally have it. Finally have it.
Look how happy Drew Dalman looks up there. I know he's wearing a Falcons jersey, but that's a bear right there, man.
Yeah.
Oh my good. Hey, Q said it. Caleb's gonna have to buy Poles a nice steak dinner right now, or take him out for a nice seafood dinner, maybe.
No, 100%. And we finally have a real offensive line. None of this Band-Aid stuff anymore.
This is different, man. These are real offensive linemen, guys. I talked about that J2K, and someone in the chat called me an idiot, but yeah, that might happen. That might happen. This photo was made by Walt, the Bear Review. Check him out on YouTube. This is a killer photo, though. Oh my god, that's got me hyped, Walt.
Yeah, honestly, J2K, I'm actually kind of surprised they haven't cut him yet. I don't even know why he's still on the team.
You think the same thing about Ryan Bateson? Okay.
Oh, yeah, they should have dumped him last season. As soon as they found out about the shoulder condition, gone, bye.
Now, I will say, I'm not a doctor or anything, but so I don't know how his shoulder is or if he's going to recover. If he is going to recover and Ryan Bates is going to be 100% this year,
Mhm.
then yeah, keep him for depth. That's fine. But I'm worried about it. I don't know if that's something that's going to happen. I just don't know. Because when you have an arthritic shoulder condition, I don't know if those get better.
Yeah, they basically. I remember reading they said there was no actual structural damage to the shoulder, so they couldn't really go in and fix it with surgery. So he had to end up going to Peru or Argentina. I forget where it was, but they had an experimental stem cell treatment that he used, and it did alleviate some of the pain. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to risk it with him.
Yeah, 100%. We didn't spend a third on Ryan Bates though. That's not true, guys. I believe it was a fifth. Was it? It could have been a fourth, but I wanted to say fifth.
Let's find out.
I can Google it. Ryan Bates trade.
It was a 2024 fifth round pick.
Yeah, it was a fifth rounder. Fifth rounder. I was gonna say maybe a fourth, but yeah, it was a fifth rounder. That's what I thought. Yeah, there it is. You guys know. Chat. Look at the chat coming through, bro. They know. Oh, he's talking about Karan Amagaji. Oh, they might have been talking about Karan. Okay. Yeah, Karan is definitely a third rounder. And I think Karan had top 50 talent, to be honest. I'm a huge fan of Karan.
Yeah, you can't write Karan off just yet. You got to give him, one more year. Give him a full training camp under his belt. He
Yeah, I
has
think
the talent in there. We just got to put it all together.
someone asked why not Karan Amagaji. Oh, it was my man Levante. Levante, look, man, I love Amagaji, but we know right now where he's at today, he's not ready for that, right? Now, let's give him a full mini camp, a full off-season program, a full training camp. Let's see how he is in preseason. If he's at the point at that time where he's battling Braxton Jones, I'm all for it. But we got to get to that point first.
Hmm.
I don't believe we're there quite yet.
I agreed 100%.
But I am still I'm really high on his talent though. I mean, he's Braxton Jones with more anchor. That's what I think he can be. He's
Yeah,
a
no, you saw it last year when they brought him in. I mean, he had his issues. Yes, he was getting beat around the edge with a lot of speed, but he does have the better anchor, and there is a lot of talent there, and we just need to clean up the technique.
and there's no one better to do that than our new O-line coach, Dan Rouchar, who is
Hmm.
one of the better O-line coaches. At least he comes more highly recommended than probably any O-line coach we've had, at least in the last decade.
Yeah, no, he did a really good job at Tulane. I'm kind of wondering if they do take a look at some of his guys at the end of the draft. I know there's the center Vincent Murphy, who did really well under Rochar there. So, if you want a developmental center, there you go.
This is crazy, man. I'm still over the moon about this, guys. When the reports were last night that the Bears were going to make a huge offer for Drew Dalman, that's one of those things where I get my hopes up, but it's like, if this happens, this is huge for the Bears. And we're already getting it. Sports from the trenches. Can we say playoffs? Listen, if the playoffs aren't the goal now, then I don't know what the hell we're doing. You don't spend this much money on the offensive line and not at least compete for the playoffs. So right now, that is the expectation. Yes, the rebuild is over. Expectations are playoffs. Oh, they're saying Milton to the Panthers. Milton Williams?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Have not seen that one yet. Oh, multiple reports of it in the chat, though. The chat's on it.
Well, we don't have Twitter right now, so we're kind of in the dark a little bit.
Yeah, I'm waiting for NFL Network to report it because Twitter is down. No way did Dan Moore get $20 million a year. If what Kiyu just said is right, that is crazy. He is listen, guys. I'm going to say this with 1,000% certainty. Braxton Jones is a lot better than Dan Moore. Dan Moore getting $20 million tells me we need to stay the hell away from left tackles in free agency. What? Who paid him that? Holy cow. What are your thoughts on that? Do you know much about he was the Steelers left tackle last year?
I don't really know a whole ton about Dan Moore, to be completely honest with you.
I've watched tape on him because when I saw him on the free agent list, I was like, hey, he started all the games for the Steelers. Bro, he's a turnstile. If you guys think Braxton Jones gets whooped around, Dan Moore gets beat up, and it's bad. So yeah, Titans gave him 20 million a year.
Really?
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't see us signing a left tackle now, guys. I'm with that for sure.
Yeah, no, no, no. We're gonna stick it out with Braxton Jones and Karan at least for one more year, and then make a decision.
I'm waiting to see more reports. I haven't seen official. I still haven't seen the last one someone just said in chat. What was the last one? Milton Williams to the Panthers. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it looks like it's coming through on my end too.
You got it on Twitter?
Not on Twitter yet, but a few guys I'm in a conversation with are saying Milton Williams to the Panthers.
Ooh, do we think Josh Sweat is possible? I would say I'd say right now it's unlikely. I'd say Sweat is probably one of the guys that's going to get a ton of money because of the Myles Garrett extension. I think Sweat's going to get overpaid. Oh, Doug with a great question though. Listen, I'm gonna hand it over to you, Walt. Who would you rather sign as a DE, Josh Sweat or Chase Young?
Doug Van Dorn, you know me. There's not even a question. It's Chase Young, 150%.
I love it, man. Chase Young is a guy, he's familiar with our defensive coordinator, Dennis
Mhm.
Allen. He's a guy who's a freak athletically and has as much upside as literally any defensive end in the NFL. So I am a huge fan of Chase Young. Also think we could get Chase Young cheaper than we could get Josh Sweat. So I think you have to take that into account too. It depends on the price. Depends on the price. I think that's a huge thing there. I think Josh Sweat could get 25 million a year. I think Chase Young could be 15. I would rather save the 10 million. Now let's see that without knowing the price, that's different, but I think he's going to get a lot more. I think Josh Sweat will get a lot more money.
Yeah, you have him coming off of that big game in the Super Bowl, and he is an Eagle and he's a champion and all that. That's going to add money to his price tag, even if we don't think that. You know.
Well, you also, man, when you got the Eagles defensive line, you have to think about this with Milton Williams as well, right? They had so much talent on that D line.
Yep.
That Eagles D line is just stacked. So it's hard to tell how great a player is when he's mixed in with such strong guys are surrounding him on the D line. But it is official, guys. Ian Rappaport right here. Titans are loading up on the offensive line, signing Dan Moore to a 4-year, $82 million deal. Braxton is going to get paid next year. Holy cow.
Yeah, I mean they're going to have to, especially if they're going to tout out Will Levis there again for another year. So
Now I say we draft left tackle, man. This is crazy. I honestly think Karan Amagaji and we draft one because I'm not paying Braxton 30 million next year. Holy cow. This is crazy. That's the biggest that's thrown me off more than the Drew Dalman thing right now. Is the Titans paying 20 million a year to Dan Moore, a below average left tackle. Holy cow. Oh.
I do want to jump back to Doug's question there a little bit. He's talking about Sweat or Chase Young, just to give you an idea of what you're looking at with Josh Sweat. Like sacks are one thing. What I look at is quarterback pressure percentage, right? Because if you disrupt the quarterback, that's just as good in my book. And you're looking at Josh Sweat, he's only at 10%. Chase Young, on the other hand, 16.
Oh, I got a little Chase Young graphic here as well.
Yeah.
So the Sport Track projection was around 17.5 million per year. He had 66 pressures last year, 74 in 2023. I mean, I've always liked Chase Young. He just has insane upside. I love him. But Josh Sweat is clearly the better player right now. But he didn't have a sack for the entire playoffs, right? No sacks for the entire playoffs. And then the Super Bowl comes around, he gets two sacks. Now he's going to get this huge payday because of that. I just think Josh Sweat, as much as I like him, I think he's a candidate to be the most overpaid player in all of free agency. So that gives me a little bit of concern when it comes to Josh Sweat.
Yeah, someone's going to toss a bag at him for sure.
But anybody who joined late, I did see a lot of people join late. Chicago Bears have agreed to a new 3-year, $42 million contract, $28 million guaranteed, making Drew Dalman the NFL's second highest paid center. I'm joined with my guy Walt from the Bear Review, and he made this awesome graphic of the new offensive line for the Chicago Bears. This is an upgrade, and I'm so happy right now. I'm just kind of on cloud nine right now. I'm kind of still in shock. I don't know if I've even processed this completely yet, but the Bears have added the best center in free agency. Walt, give me your thoughts on Drew Dalman.
Yeah, man, I really like it. The only thing you have to worry about is how is he going to come back from the injury? And it looks like, at the end of last year, it didn't really bother him too much. So that's really my only concern. You have to look at his pass blocking PFF grades a little bit. I know he's been a really good run blocker, but that's going to be a concern, especially after watching Coleman Shelton get put on skates 9 times out of 10.
True,
So,
true.
but I do have faith in the signing. I think it's an excellent signing, even for the contract there. I was expecting a lot more actually.
I think I would have even went to the whoever reported the 3 years, 48 million, the 16 a year. I would have done that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I
Mhm.
said 15 million, but if it would have came down to it and Dahlman would have been like, I want 16 million instead of 15, and that's a hard line, I would have been like, take it. Like we need the upgrade at center that bad, and it completely stabilizes the interior of our offensive line, which has been a problem for 15 plus years now.
Exactly. I mean, you have to look at the center as like the linchpin for the entire offensive line on both flanks. If the center is weak, they're just going to crumble too, no matter how good they are eventually. So,
And we saw it with both of our last two quarterbacks that we drafted as rookies. Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields both struggled because of pressure in their face from the interior of the defensive line. Our
mhm.
center is just getting demolished, whether it was Sam Mustipher or Lucas Patrick or whoever was out there. And now we saw it last year. Caleb Williams dealt with the same thing. Even the guy I was highest on our offensive line, Tevin Jenkins, he was not good as a pass blocker last year. Now, I love Tev, probably
Mhm.
one of the best run blockers in football, but he struggled in pass protection, and that really hurt our O line. And when you switch out Tev with Joe Tooney, who is probably the best pass blocking left guard in football, it
Yeah.
just completely changes the complexion of this O line.
I mean, I love Tevin Jenkins. Don't get me wrong. Like my household is a huge Tevin Jenkins fan, but he's no Joe Thuney. Sorry to say.
I love him, man. Always been a huge Tev fan, always will. Carl Davis to the Patriots. Hold on, we got looks like a couple new one. He's got 3 years, 60 million.
Yeah, they signed a
Um,
linebacker too.
Derek Barnett is going to the Texans, 1 year, 5 million. I cannot believe Dan Moore though. 4 years, 82 million to the Titans. The Titans just sunk their team. I hope there's no Titans fans in chat. But that's awful, man. Woo!
Yeah,
Drew Dalman, man.
I don't know about that one.
Craig said, I wish I brought as much happiness to my wife as Drew Dalman brings to Swifty. You gotta get it up, man. You gotta make that your wife happy, bro. I don't know what to say. Signer or center? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was just
Oh,
looking to see if they had any information on that Milton deal. I guess all Schefter said that the deal's being finalized, but
yeah, I
nothing
still
more
haven't
yet.
seen the Milton deal finalized yet. You did see Shefty say it's getting finalized though?
Yeah, they have it on the ESPN free agent tracker. All it says is the Carolina Panthers are working towards finalizing a deal with former Philadelphia Eagles defensive tackle Milton Williams per source. That was Adam Schefter about 8 minutes ago, based on their get up there.
Dang, I got it. So where do you think Tev goes now? I think he probably gets 15 million a season.
He'd have to. I mean, the guard market. I mean, put it this way: if it was last year, he probably wouldn't hit that. But he played a pretty decent season for the most part. So I wouldn't say 15 million's out of the realm of possibility.
Let's see. Oh, but there it is. Schefter said Panthers working to finalize a deal with Milton Williams. So they're working on it, but it's not final yet. But they're working on it. Ryan, thank you so much for that super chat. He says, keep it up, Swifty, longtime follower. Much appreciated, brother. Ken says, this is my wife. I told her the Bears signed Dahlman. She said she already saw that. That's hilarious. Oh man. Ken, she might, if she knows any more news before you, tell her she can let us know. She might know the news before we get it. Oh man. Patrick Surtain. Yeah, JC Horn. The Panthers did sign JC Horn to a huge contract as well.
Yeah. Dalman
Oh,
is a
no way. I
band-aid
don't like
signing.
this take, Rico. Hold on. He said Dalman is a band-aid signing. He reminds me of Shelton. Jonah reminds me of Nate Davis. Caleb's gonna run for his life again.
I mean, I guess there's always going to be one person in the crowd that's going to piss on everyone's parade.
I just disagree with that, man. I just disagree with that. I do think Jonah Jackson is a guy who he had a down year last year. I do think I think there's a lot of misunderstanding that goes along with that. He got hurt in preseason, and they had an offensive line that then came together and was playing really well. And Bo Limmer took over at center and was playing well. And their guy, Steve Avila, who was a second round pick, was playing well. But he ended up coming back and playing. I don't know. I like Jonah Jackson. And the guy who knows him more than any of us is Ben Johnson. And I trust Ben Johnson's decision on this.
It just unfortunately just didn't work out between Jonah Jackson and the Rams. It happens, and we were able to take advantage of that.
And I will say Jonah Jackson is probably, when you're looking at our line now, he might still be the biggest question mark. I think he has the potential, but his best football still came at left guard and not right guard. So Jonah Jackson's definitely a question mark. But here's what we're going to do, guys. Remember, this draft is still very deep, not only on defensive line, but also on guards and centers. So when you're looking at day two, we could still grab a guy like Donovan Jackson or Tate Ratledge. I put his name as Rareledge. Tate Ratledge or Wyatt Milam. But there's a lot of players we can still grab who could come in and they would be the backup behind Jonah Jackson. But if he struggles or gets hurt, we have a second round guy who we can insert as a starter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I actually just picked up Tate Ratledge on my recent mock draft just to do just that, sit behind Jonah Jackson and learn. And when his time is here, he's going to be ready to go. So you don't have to end up throwing him out there like we did Quran and then just hope for the best.
Yeah, he's actually, I mean, and he has the look of the Joe Tooney. He
Yeah.
has the little mustache, and then he's got the mullet. But Tate Ratledge he's an old school offensive lineman that really fits what the Bears are looking for, in my opinion. So I'd love to have Tate Ratledge here backing him up.
Yeah, no, he's got the attitude to sit on the offensive line, and my big thing is the Bears really need killers across the entirety of the offense and defensive line. That's why I'm not concerned with going after somebody like James Pierce Jr.
Oh,
The
I'm a James Pierce Jr. fan. I have heard reports. People have told me that James Pierce Jr. has character issues, but I've personally never heard that from anyone I talk to. I've never read it in any scouting report. And so to me, that's Ryan Poles' decision. He decides the character things.
yeah,
I judge players based on what I see on film. And to me, James Pierce Jr. is a top 15 pick. He's an awesome edge rusher, and he's a guy who would look really good coming in on third downs, especially as a rookie.
yeah. I mean, are you watching NFL Network right now?
Yeah, they got Max Crosby on there.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect example. Like Max Crosby had his own demons to deal with throughout his life, and now he's one of the top paid edges in the entire NFL. So
Let's see. Someone's asking any Hargrave news. Not yet. Hargrave still no news, no visits or anything going on with him. And then Bob asked, what round will Jonah Monheim go? And this is a tough one for me because I personally think Monheim could go as high as round 3, but I think realistically he's probably a 5th round pick. I'd probably say 5th round.
yeah, I was saying fifth round to begin with, but I mean the sweet spot's probably going to be around 4.
Yeah, if we could get him in round 4, I wouldn't complain. I like him. He's Caleb's former teammate, but he's probably not a day 2 pick.
No. I don't think there really is a center that you can take in day 2 and be 100% sure.
Yep. Ryan, we actually talked about that. We talked about Josh Sweat and Chase Young probably about 10 minutes ago. If you want to just rewind just a bit, we just had that discussion. Eric, there is one really good kicker in this draft. I'm struggling to remember his name off the top of my head, but
Do you know
there
where he
is
plays?
what is it?
Do you remember? You remember what college he plays for?
Um,
Because there is Ben Sauls out of Pitt. He's pretty good.
that was not the guy I was thinking.
Oh,
I'll have to look it up. I'm not a kicker guy, but there is a kicker I really like in this draft. Let me look it up real quick, see if I can find him.
because I know everyone was big high on the Michigan kicker, but he's going back to school. So
Oh, that might no, I don't think it was Michigan. Oh no. Ryan Fitzgerald from Florida State.
okay, yeah, no, he's another one.
Now, Florida State, they were awful this year, but I do think Ryan Fitzgerald's a guy who looks like an NFL kicker to me when I've watched him the last couple of years. So if I was going to draft a kicker, yeah, it would be Ryan Fitzgerald from Florida State.
Yeah, no, he was pretty good. The only reason I like Ben Sauls, a little more, just because he's got more range.
Pick guy. Yeah, I think I don't know how to say his name, Borregales, the Miami kicker is pretty good too. But I've liked Fitzgerald. I've watched him since his freshman year when he was kicking. He was kicking like 60 plus yarders as a freshman. So like those are the kind of kickers I like with the huge legs, you know.
Yeah, I think Cairo Santos can go out on a bang, beating Green Bay in the final game. Just ride off in the sunset. Thank you, sir, for your service.
Man, oh man. I'm still taking it in, guys. I'll put up a poll in the chat in just a second because I am curious how excited everyone else is, but we have a new center, Drew Dalman. This is crazy. This was my number one target heading into free agency, and he's a Chicago Bear. I couldn't be happier right now. I still think we need to add to the defensive line and stay away from left tackles in free agency. Raging just said it too. Yeah. Stay away from them. Honestly.
Yeah. I'm looking at Squeegee. He said the Sweat Brothers would be nice, but I don't think they're related at all. Actually,
No, but it's a good nickname.
yeah,
Someone else said that too. But yeah, I do not think they are related. No. No relation there.
just coincidence, right?
Let's see. All right, poll up for the Drew Dalman signing. You guys can now vote in the chat for your grade. If you're not giving it an A plus, though, I got to talk to you. You got to tell me why. I love the move, man. I just love it. This is the move I wanted.
I don't think there was any other move you could make. I think that was the move. Like if you were going to make one move in all of free agency, this was it.
Yeah. It is 3 years, $42 million. It makes him currently the second highest paid center, I believe, according to Ian Rappaport.
Yeah.
That's not bad. I'm fine with this. Is what I wanted. I mean, we have Caleb on the rookie deal. We have tons of flexibility. We still aren't paying a single player on our roster over 30 million. There are other teams paying, like you look at the Chiefs, they're paying 3 guys over 30 million a season. We're not paying a single guy 30 million a season. So we still have a ton of flexibility here. 16 or what was it? Was that 14 million a year? Yeah, 14 million a year for Drew Dalman is not bad. I'm all over it. I would have paid him. I honestly, at the end of the day, I said I would have paid him 16 million. If the market would have went crazy and we would have had to pay him 20 million, I would have done it.
That's what I was going to say. I was really surprised that it didn't go higher. Like I was looking at 20 million as a low end.
I honestly would have. I mean, they're paying guards 20 million. Why wouldn't I pay a center 20 million? I would have probably done it if we would have had to based on free agency. But I think this deal is perfect.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can't complain about this deal one bit. So anyone that does, like, I don't know. You need to just go away.
This is big, guys. What's next for Ryan Poles? To me, it's got to go on the defensive line. We've got to upgrade the defensive line. Let's see.
Yeah, I think you've pretty much done everything you can on the offensive line at the moment. It's all up just to them gelling and getting that continuity together.
Julius Thompson, thank you for the super chat, my brother. He said we got to give Swift the assistant GM job once Ian leaves. Hey, we just want those third round picks when Ian leaves. That's all we care about, really. We love third round picks around here.
Yeah, it does seem that Twitter is finally back up.
We don't have official word on like who was actually bidding for Dalman, but I'm pretty positive. There were reports the Patriots were interested, and I'm pretty sure the Falcons tried to get him back too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did you hear that? It looks like Evan Brown's going to Arizona.
Oh,
Or
Evan
back to
Brown,
Arizona.
the center I wasn't a huge fan of. He's going back to Arizona. I like it.
Yeah, he's got 2 years, 11.5.
2 years. Oh, that's not bad. Not bad. Run stopper or pass rusher? We need both. We need both. That's the thing. We need both. I don't know which one we'd sign first. Probably a pass rusher.
Yeah, you can definitely get a pass rusher a lot easier than a run stopper in free agency if you're going to go that way.
One thing I would like, I'll give you a scenario here, okay? So we sign a pass rusher in free agency, right? Say a guy like Chase Young or Matthew Judon, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then in the draft, first pick, a guy that no one's really talking about a lot, maybe even trade down, but maybe take him right where he's at. Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. I think he'd look really good next to Jervon Dexter.
Yeah, no, I mean, he slimmed down a little bit too. I try to remember how many pounds it was, but, he's definitely a guy that can really come up the works, and he still can actually rush the passer too, so he's not just a one-dimensional nose tackle.
And then you go to the second round, you can add another pass rusher and a guard. And that'd be a killer draft if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I could definitely get behind that. I mean, honestly, like I said, definitely high on James Pierce. Kenneth Grant's another one. Like you said, I don't think Mason Graham's going to fall to 10. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't either.
But
I wish, but
I know I'm going to take a lot of flack for this one. I'm going hard on Shamar Stewart here.
ooh, okay. Man, so I have a tough time with Shamar Stewart. I'll talk about this a little bit because
Mhm.
I think he's an athletic freak. He's a guy who he's got a ton of talent. He's a stud. He compares like physically to Myles Garrett. That's what they say. Like he's got the Myles Garrett comp. But I like his teammate. Maybe better, Nick Scourton.
Scourton's very good too.
I'm a big fan of Nick Scourton, and I know he's fallen down draft boards, and most people don't even have him going in the first round. I've seen people not like Nick Scourton and have him falling down. Q says I got attacked for praising Stewart after the combine. People on Twitter are crazy. I definitely like Shamar Stewart. He's an athletic freak, but I don't like him at pick 10. And honestly, when I watch the tape, I'm a huge Nick Scourton fan. I really like Nick Scourton. So it's hard for me to like look at Texas A&M tape and be like,
It's hard to watch
Shamar
Texas
Stewart's
A&M
the guy.
tape in general.
Yeah. There's just so many pass rushers this year. So many.
Yeah.
Hit the like button, guys.
I guess another one you could look at too is Donovan Izaraku out of Boston College.
Oh, yeah. Izaraku is another guy. Let's see what they got here. Yeah, the official Sport Track has it up now. 3 years, 42 million, 28 guaranteed. I don't know where that other report came from, but not it.
Oh, the Courtney
Max
Cronin
Dill
one?
was 1 year, 18 million. Sorry, go ahead, Walt.
No, you were just saying the other one was the Courtney Cronin one you were talking about?
I think so. I think that's what they said, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bob Billings, young between 12 to 14 million. Take that all day.
I would take that. I would sign Chase Young for 12 to 14 million in a heartbeat.
Yeah, because don't forget he got 13 million last year, but his cap hit was only 3.8. I think once they figured it all out. Yes,
the Saints are in crazy cap hell though. That's why.
I know, but I mean, we're not doing it with everyone like the Saints.
Let's see. Matt got 18. He thinks Eric thinks Young will get more than that. Very likely he could get more than that. Very likely. But I mean, if he got 12 to 14, that's what I was saying. I would sign that in a heartbeat. Richard just named pretty much the guys I like in the second round as edge rusher. If those guys are on the board in the second round, Nick Scourton, Princely Umanamalayan, Jack Sawyer, and I think he's talking about Donovan Jackson there. That's actually a guard.
Oh
But
no, I think he's talking about Landon Jackson from Arkansas.
oh yeah, Landon Jackson. Oh shoot, Landon Jackson. In my head, I'm seeing Donovan Jackson because I really like Donovan Jackson in the second
Yeah,
round. But yeah, Landon Jackson as well. Get one of those edge rushers and then sign a guard or a defensive tackle. We're booming. We're booming.
yeah. I mean, personally, I had to put Landon probably last on my list of those four. I feel like for a guy as big as he is and as strong as he looks, he gets tossed around way too easily by the offensive lineman there.
I struggle with Landon Jackson. There's so much to like about him, but then I watch his tape and sometimes I'm just I don't know. I just don't see it. Kia with a great question. Why did Washington cut Jonathan Allen for 16 million just to sign Javon Kinlaw for 15? Maybe they see him as a better fit, or maybe they're telling us something about Jonathan Allen that he's not healthy, or I don't know. Not sure, but Washington's made some smart decisions here, so that's a tough one.
How long was the Kinlaw deal?
I believe it was 3 years, 45 million.
That's strange. The only thing I can think of is maybe there was a bit of friction because I know it was the year that Chase got traded. He was real big on moving too. He was just like he was done. So maybe there was some carryover from that.
Man, oh man. Dennis Allen's going, where are my guys? Hey, Dennis Allen, he's going to get some guys. Trust me. There's so much talent still left, both in free agency and the draft on this D line that there's no way we don't address it. We have to. I just don't see a way we can't.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy hour and a half so far.
Yeah, we're only an hour and a half into free agency. There's been a ton of moves. The Bears have only made one so far, guys. We've only signed the best center in free agency. And honestly, we don't need to make another move today. In my opinion, I'm happy with this. This is perfect. We got the guy who was number one. Great comment here by Jay Noyes. He says they're going to get Tim Patrick from Detroit. I'm a big fan of Tim Patrick. I think he'd be great. Someone else in the chat has also been talking about Darius Slayton. I meant to comment on that, but I also think Darius Slayton would be a really good fit as a slot receiver if we could get him for a cheap price, because prices are out of control. Tutu Atwell just got $10 million a year. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you remember them saying that Chris Godwin took a bit of a pay cut too.
Yeah, he did. They were saying that on NFL Network, Kiyu, that Godwin not only took a pay cut, but he left a lot of money on the table. He could have got a lot more in free agency, so he wanted to stay with the Bucs.
What do you think about the possibility of grabbing a Shaq Mason in terms of
I like Shaq Mason,
piece?
But wouldn't he want to start? That would be my biggest question. Does he want to start?
I have him fight with Jonah Jackson. Be like, you gave him 8 sacks last year. I'm not having you start out the gate. You got to earn that.
My man Eric gifting 10 memberships to the chat. Hey, Eric, big shout out, my man. My man. What was it? I just missed one. I saw a real question there. Don asked, be real Swift, Ashton Genty or Kelvin Banks Jr. in the draft. I have to say, guys, look, Kelvin Banks is one of the hardest, probably the hardest prospects to grade for me, because at times I see like a guy who should be a top 10 pick, but then the more I watch, I see a guy who's like a late first round pick. So I don't know if Banks is worth the pick at 10. So if I have to choose between them at pick 10, Ashton Genty or Kelvin Banks Jr., I'm going Ashton Genty. I think he's a top 5 player in this draft. I think he's special. So I have to ask that one, or I have to answer that one. And then another super chat here, Boiler Buzz. Do we take advantage of the depth in free agency and or roll the dice on a rookie? I say both. We do both.
Mm-hmm.
Why not both? That's how I think.
Depends on what position you're talking about.
You know? I think he's talking defensive end. Okay. I think.
I mean, you could double dip there pretty easily.
Yeah. And Ryan Poles said it himself. Like, signing a veteran edge doesn't stop us from drafting one you can never have too many pass rushers.
Yeah. No,
And that
because you got rid of Daryl Taylor. He's a free agent right now, so you need someone else. You have Austin Booker, but you can't just rely on. I mean, I don't even know who's going to be next to Montez Sweat next year.
Yeah, he was talking DE. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. I say we got to double dip, my man. We got to double dip. Have to.
Yeah.
We don't have to sign a big name. Like, I want one of these bigger name guys, right? If I have my way, I want one of these guys on this list for this D line. Preferably an edge, but I'd take a defensive tackle too. And it looks like Milton Williams might be gone. It's not official yet, but someone on the list is finally gone. It looks like Milton Williams to the Eagles
Yeah.
is, or not the Eagles. I'm sorry. To the Panthers is looking close. Good question by Don here. Do we think Armand Mimbu can play left tackle? I think personally he's a right tackle or a guard in the NFL, but he's a player I really like, and I wouldn't put the limitations and say, no, he can't. But the likelihood that he does it in the NFL is pretty low. Do you agree
Yeah.
with that one, Walter?
Yeah. No, I do. I was talking to a couple of people in like Bears Twitter chat the other day, and they asked that very same question. I guess he played a little bit of left tackle in high school, but that's about it. I mean, he does have the athleticism to go over to the left side, but I think he's more a natural fit on the right side.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I think maybe he can do it, but in the NFL, he's more likely. I mean, guys usually start out at right tackle anyway. A lot of left tackles even do. Look at Penei Sewell, who was one of the best left tackles to come out in years. He's been right tackle in the NFL for 5 years now.
Mm. Another
So,
interesting one that no one's really talking about is Emory Jones.
ooh, do you think he's a tackle or guard?
I honestly feel he can do both. I think he's probably more polished at guard right now, but he definitely has, the ability to play both tackle positions. Probably more so right tackle at the moment, but I think he can slide over on the left side.
Ooh, J2K with a great take. J2K, if you guys, he actually started a draft channel. If you want to post the name of your draft channel in the chat, J2K, I love it. Got the notifications on for it. But another guy who really studies the draft, he says he doesn't think Mimbu has the top tier kick slide to be great at offensive tackle. He seems more like a guard. I'm tough on that one. I think he has the athleticism to get it done, but I don't know. I think he'll be better at guard is what I think he could be a really good right tackle, but he could be a great right guard.
Yeah, I mean, he faced some of the best pass rushers the college football had to offer last year.
100%. And there's J2K's channel if you guys want to look that up. Oh, Milton Williams to the Panthers. Oh, another report that they're in negotiations, but it's still not done yet.
Well, I mean, if you really want him, you can come in and get him. It's not done yet.
Milton Williams still a free agent, but he's in negotiations with the Panthers, guys. So that's close. Let's see. Someone mentioned the DK Metcalf to the Steelers as well. And I got to say, guys, DK is one of the best receivers in football. If Justin Fields goes back there, it's a good fit. But we'll see. We'll see what they do at quarterback. They need a quarterback, honestly.
Do you think
We
they're
just
gonna?
talked about Landon Jackson. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
As I say, do you think they're gonna trade George Pickens? I know there was some talk about that yesterday.
I think after paying DK what they just paid him, they're probably going to have to because he's going to want a lot of money. There's a lot of Justin Fields to the Jets rumors circulating right now too, for the Fields fans out there. To the Jets.
Yeah, that's been going on for a while. They want to see that Garrett Wilson reunion.
Q asked about Sam Darnold and the Vikings. It looks like Sam Darnold will not be going back to Minnesota. I think the rumors that I'm hearing are the Seahawks. That's the one. It looks like a shoe-in fit to me. And then Jay Noyes with another super chat. Thank you, my man. Could we get Trey Hendrickson? And if so, what would you be willing to give up? I wouldn't want to give up more than a third-round pick. That's all I gotta say. A third round pick at absolute max. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts on that one?
No, when I saw it was a third round pick, I'd say go for it. He's going to cost a ton of money. So you have that as an ability to use as a little bit of leverage in that trade because you're taking all the risk right there. But
Yeah.
I guess it's doable. You'd have to really play around with the finances, but I wouldn't be mad if I looked and saw it happen.
Oh man. People are hating on the Dalman move. I just don't see it, guys. I think Dalman's a great move. Another signing though, DJ Reed, the cornerback from the Jets, has signed a 3-year, $48 million deal with the Detroit Lions. The Lions are adding to their secondary. They're clearly scared of Caleb Williams, guys. That's the only reason they would do that, right?
Hmm. Well, we saw the entire NFC North gear up last year with the safeties. Now it's just the Lions are just continuing that game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
I
Let's
can't
see.
believe that though. Like, why are you crapping on the Drew Dalman move?
I don't, man, the Dolman. I honestly, this move made more sense. It just made perfect sense. Sometimes you can't get you can't get stupid with it, right? You can't overthink things. And Drew Dalman is a guy that easily the best center on the market. He's entering his prime age. He's only 26 years old, right? So as
Hmm.
a guy who's probably going to get better. And now he also gets to work with Dan Ruchar. He gets to work next to Joe Tooney. He gets to work with Ben Johnson. He gets to work with Caleb Williams. I think this is a guy who could end up being one of the best centers in football. I don't I don't see any reason to dislike this move, in my opinion.
No. Oh, quickly, just to give you an update, it looks like the Patriots signed Morgan Morris.
Oh, Morgan Moses, the OT. Yeah, I
Moses, I'm
saw that
sorry.
one. Yeah,
Okay,
I
I
think I
might be a little bit
skipped it.
behind.
3-year, 24 million for a 34-year-old tackle. That's crazy. Worth up to 28.5 million. Wow.
Yeah, the thing is though, man, you got to think about this. If we didn't sign Drew Stallman and say he went somewhere else, the same people crying about the deal would be crying about that too.
100%. Oh yeah, man. The people who, if we didn't sign imagine this, guys, okay? Because if we didn't sign Drew Dalman, one of the most likely things that would have happened, because there weren't any better options on free agency, right? There just was not a better option in free agency. So most likely it would have been Coleman Shelton. So
Yep.
that's what you're comparing this to. Would you rather have paid Coleman Shelton? And Shelton, he's going to get more than he got last year. We paid him 1 year, 3 million last year, right? He's probably going to get 6 to 8 million this year.
Hmm.
Because he started all 17 games, and he's one of the better centers on the open market. So some team is going to need a center, and they're going to pay Coleman Shelton. So we didn't really have a ton of options after this. I think this is an A+ move. What is chat grading it out at yet? Let me look at it. Okay, we got 88% giving it an A or an A+. Only 2% with a C. So I love it. I think the chat knows. Our O line. Where did that one go? Position by position, how does our O line stack up to the Lions O line now? Oof, man.
It's a tough one.
Well, they clearly have an advantage at left tackle, right? Left tackle Taylor Decker, that's a big win for the Lions. Center Frank Ragnow, Drew Dalman. I probably will lean Frank Ragnow in that one. Ragnow is one of the better centers in football, but Dalman's at least comparable, right? So we're
Hmm.
not losing majorly at that one. And then at right tackle, you're looking at Penei Sewell and Darnell Wright. And as much as I would like to compare Darnell Wright to Penei Sewell, it's simply you have to give that one to the Lions. But the Lions have holes at both guard spots right now. We don't know who either of their guards are. So the
Yeah.
Bears win left guard by a landslide because no matter who they get, they're not going to be better than Joe Tooney. And then right guard, we win right now by default. But still, the Lions get it overall. But
Yeah,
the Bears have a full front five here. The Lions are still looking to find pieces. So never know what's going to happen there. But their line right now is still up. Go ahead, Walt. Sorry.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say because I mean, who are you gonna play at right guard in Detroit? Christian Mahogany. I mean, he did good, but you don't really know in that situation. I'd have to say, going as a whole unit, Lions win on the flanks, and then interior, I'd have to go with the Bears at the moment.
100%. Yeah. The interior, we got the better interior right now for sure. They got the better tackles. That's a good one. Thank you for the super chat, Skim Diggity. Gub Nilick says Lions have years of continuity. Got to give them the edge. The problem with that is they don't really. They lost Jonah Jackson last year. They're losing Kevin Zeitler unless they bring Zeitler back. But if they lose Kevin Zeitler this year, they're looking at 2 new guard spots. They're gonna have some continuity questions. At least in my opinion. Yeah, they had continuity, but now we don't know what they have now. We got to see what they do.
Oh, did you see the Vikings brought in Isaiah Rogers too?
Ooh, 2 years, 15 million. Cornerback Isaiah Rogers. Yeah, they're loading up on cornerbacks, guys. NFC North is loading up on cornerbacks. It would be insane if the Lions signed Tev. Let's not put that one into the universe, guys. Let's not even put that out there.
No, no, that's let's not. What do you think is going to happen with Keenan Allen now?
I think he wants to go to the West Coast, honestly. A team out there, whether it's back to the Chargers or with another team. He seems like a West Coast guy to me. Like he lives in LA. I think that's what happens. If he would be willing to come back on a cheap deal, I'd be all for bringing back Keenan Allen. I just don't see it.
Yeah, no, I figured he might go to San Francisco, honestly.
I see all the chats blue, or I try. Keenan about to be gone. Appreciate you, Skim. Lions have the better tackles. Hey, we have the better fans. Hey, we clearly, just to say though, right now we have a better interior of an offensive line than they do. That's killer, man. Who do you think we can get at the slot right now? I think Tim, what's his name? Tim Patrick.
Yeah.
Darius Slayton. Do I have him up here? I had a graphic for it, but I don't have it uploaded. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I put it in my video last night, Q, of my wide receiver slot receivers, because it's another underrated need of ours. I have Tim Patrick, Darius Slayton, Keenan Allen is on the list, Josh Reynolds, another former Lion, Tyler Boyd is a sleeper, the former Bengals slot receiver, Elijah Moore, and then Joshua Palmer. Hey, J2K saying Joshua Palmer right when I read it. And then the other one I had listed was Deontay Johnson, but as much as I like Deontay Johnson, I heard he was mad in the Ravens locker room after a playoff win because he didn't get enough targets. So probably crossing Deontay Johnson off my list.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
That's one of the most selfish things I've ever heard. Like mad after a playoff win because he didn't get enough targets. I was like, sorry, Deontay Johnson, but you're not on my list. But yeah, Josh Reynolds, the guy that J2K just mentioned, Josh Palmer's another one. Anyone check on Don Burr since the playoffs? I haven't seen Don in a while, man. Xavier Restrepo is a good one, a guy we can draft. He's probably a third. He's a late day two, maybe day 3 pick out of Miami. Slot receiver, really good. I like him.
And speaking of which, it's not really a slot receiver, but did you watch Keandre Lambert-Smith run at the combine?
I watched him, but I'm not. I watched everybody, but I'm not remembering his run off the top of my head.
Yeah, he was like a 4.3, I think. He topped that.
Oh yeah. No, I remember that one.
But yeah, he'd be really good just to give you like some straight line burn. You could probably get him in like the 5th or 6th round, even the 7th, maybe.
There's some speed burn, and that's one thing about this year's class at wide receiver and running back. It's one of the fastest ever recorded at both positions. So be able to get speed burners late in the draft at both positions. That's something I'm excited about too. We can attack the trenches early, and then you can maybe find some sleeper. You can find sleeper running back, tight end, or receiver on day 3.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that Jace Horn deal. It's 4 years, 100 million, 70 million guaranteed.
Whoo, 100 million for JC Horn. The Panthers are spending. If they sign Milton Williams too.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. Like that's
Daniel Jeremiah just tweeted out, if the Bears draft Tyler Warren, they would have a dominant 12 personnel offense that would be physical and fun. Daniel Jeremiah throwing out some Tyler Warren to the Bears. Ooh, we'll
yeah,
see. We'll see.
Tyler Warren is disgustingly good.
Q asked, what is the highest we would take Jack Beck? He was a Senior Bowl MVP. Great story, wide receiver. He said he would take him at 41. I want to go trenches there or running back. If Jack Beck was on the board at 72, I'd snatch him up in a heartbeat. I probably wouldn't take him at 41, but I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't think it was a bad pick, but I probably wouldn't do it personally.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's a necessity at that pick. 72, like you said, fine, but 41, I don't know.
Oh, holy cow. Listen to
Ooh,
this. Blue with some news here. According to CBS's Jonathan Jones, Drew Dalman turned down more money from other teams. He wanted to be in Chicago. Holy cow. Bear down,
that's
guys. That's crazy.
that's huge.
Since when did play? And if you guys didn't hear this as well, Andy Reid was on. I don't know what he was on, but I was watching on NFL Network yesterday, and they talked to Andy Reid, and he was talking about how this is where Joe Tooney wanted to go as well. So that is just crazy. Joe Tooney and Drew Dalman both wanted to come to Chicago. That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for the super chat. That got me pumped up too, my man. No way. Since when did people want to come to Chicago? Oh, my man Levante, I got to give him some credit. He said the same thing. I missed it, but Levante said it too.
yeah,
Love
he
you,
did.
Levante. Oh man.
Oh Jesus! But it's crazy, man. And that's gonna speak volumes to every other free agent out there now. You have guys like Drew Dalman and Joe Tooney saying we want to be in Chicago. They know what's up.
It's the Italian beef, Cake Way is saying. It's Italian beef and the
That too.
pizza.
As long as he doesn't
Oh.
eat it dry, we're fine with that.
I do believe it's the Ben Johnson effect. I think it started with Caleb Williams, right? It's the Caleb Williams effect, but Caleb Williams is why Ben Johnson wanted to come here. And now we got Ben Johnson. So you got the coach, you got the quarterback, and now we're attracting the players. It's really is a new era of Chicago Bears football. I'm floating a little bit.
Yeah,
Someone pinch me. Hey, there's Walt's channel too. He just spoke in the chat. Anyone looking for Walt's channel? That's it right there.
yeah. I was actually gonna put together a video. That's why I made that graphic there. But I figured I'd come on and chat with you all. It's a lot more fun, anyways.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's see. Wait, well, one more super chat here. Says a lot that Thuney, Dahlman, etc. dudes want to be in Chicago. It says a lot about Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, and Caleb Williams. I couldn't agree more with that statement. I think
Yeah.
people take us seriously now.
Because I mean, like I said, when I first started my channel, I did a whole thing about where Ryan Poles on the outs, and I was in that camp. But he renewed my faith into him now.
I think a lot of people have. I think there were a lot of people that were out on Ryan Poles this offseason. And I get it. Winning matters, and this team didn't win. This team didn't win in 2025 or 2024. We didn't win hardly anything. So the product that's on the football field matters. To me, it's kind of, though, you got to think it's the coaches that have the talent, that get the most out of the talent, right? the GM brings in the talent, but then it's up to the coaches to get the most out of the players. And it's clear to anyone who watched the Bears last season that we had more talent than our record indicated. So that's why I don't get how people correlate Ryan Poles' job with our record when they saw last year anyone who watched the Bears, anyone who watched, and like your grandma could have watched and been like, that coach is an idiot. Like we lost a game when we were in position to win the game and we let the clock run out and we had a timeout in our 2 timeouts in our pocket. Like coaching matters. So, I mean, you can't just put it all on Ryan Poles. And I believe that now that once Ben Johnson took this job, you started to see the media shift too, right? Because there was a narrative before we hired Ben Johnson, there was a narrative that, hey, guess what? Ben Johnson doesn't want to go to the Bears because he doesn't want to work with Ryan Poles. He wants his own GM. Once he came here and said, this is where I wanted to be, the media started to change their tune a little bit. The same people that were saying fire Ryan Poles 2 months ago, they're now praising Ryan Poles. So it changes pretty quickly. And I'm happy that at least they're coming around. But I remember what they said. I remember.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing was that it wasn't that it was all Ryan Pohl's fault. It wasn't. You're right. Matty Bruce was an idiot, and he surrounded himself with other idiots. So, there's that.
Yeah.
But my thing with Ryan Poles is he kept that idiot around for much longer than he needed to.
He did. But the problem is, though, when you think about that, if we would have fired him last year, right? Who's our head coach?
Exactly. You don't know. I mean, could they? I mean, I know Ben Johnson was taking interviews last year, but was he really ready to take the job? It
I
doesn't
don't think
sound
he
like
was. And even if he did, he wasn't going to get a coaching staff like this. You know what I mean?
No, there would be no Dennis Allen.
Oh, definitely no Dennis Allen. Definitely no Eric Bieniemy. So
no, you may have even gotten like Al Harris or
I would have liked
Randall
to get
L
out
there, but yeah, Al Harris is going to be good.
But one thing that people don't question about that I like to bring up is coaches. When it comes to coaches, how you treat a coach matters, right? And when assistants see, if we would have fired Flus, this is something the fans don't get and isn't talked about, right? If we would have fired Flus last year, I don't believe that other potential coaches around the NFL would have viewed that as a positive thing because they would have seen that as we never gave Ryan Paul or Matt Eberflus a chance. His first year, he had no roster. The roster was tore down and it was pathetic. And then his second season, right? He showed a ton of promise at the end of the year. After we traded for Montez Sweat, we had a top 10 defense. We won games toward the end of the year. We ended the year on a win streak. If you fire Flus after that, when he coached through that teardown, I believe coaches might have not wanted to come here. So I think keeping Flus, giving him a chance, actually helped us land the right coach. And other coaches view us more positively because of that. It's an underrated point, but I thoroughly believe that.
Well, looks like Patriots are trading one of their DTs to the Saints.
Ooh, trade. We got a trade?
I don't know how old it is, but it just came down the wire here on their headlines on NFL Network.
Ooh, let me see. Let me see what he said here. Yeah, I kind of agree with this too. See, and this is another point here, and this is why it's hard for me because once we decided we were taking Caleb Williams, I also agree that as the Bears, when you look at us in a bubble, like it's stupid to go into a season with a rookie head coach or with a rookie quarterback and have a lame duck head coach. Because the problem is, to me, when I'm looking at it, I think if we would have fired him last year, which is what everyone thinks we should have done, I think we don't end up with anywhere near as good of a coaching staff. And we probably don't end up with the same free agents this year either. So to me, I think it was it might have not been the smartest thing from the outside looking in, but I think it was the right decision.
Yeah, no, I agree. You're 100% right there. If we ended up firing Matt Eberflus, we would have ended up with someone else completely, and this could be a completely different story what we're talking about today. I don't think we'd be
100%.
talking about Drew Dalman right now.
For
And
real, for
Eric
real.
Harper, you can see I turned my camera on today just for you.
That's just for you, Eric. Let's see. I did not talk about this one. Eric Harper mentioned another one. Another pass rusher on the market. This happened earlier today. The Lions released Zadarius Smith. So that's another pass rusher on the market. Just another guy out there. And Q says he thinks the Pats are going to make some will surprise some people this year. Hey, at least they missed out on Drew Dalman. If I had to guess, I would say that's probably the team that might have offered more money for Dalman was the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Jaguars didn't really push for him too.
Yeah, they might have. And like I'm going to go with what J2K says here because at the end of the day, we don't know if it was intentional or not, but
Hmm.
I'm happy with how things ended up. So at this point, there's no point in criticizing not moving on from Matt Eberflus last year because whether it was lucky, whether it was the plan, everything worked out right. And to me, the best it possibly could have for the Chicago Bears because I didn't see a situation where we got a coach that was better than Ben Johnson. And I didn't see a situation where we improved our offensive line better than landing Drew Dalman, Joe Tooney, and Jonah Jackson. So to me, right now, we're setting high and better than I thought we would be at this position.
Yeah, because I know we all thought. I mean, everyone pretty much knew Drew Dalman was going to come here, come hell or high water.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it was Kevin Zietler. But I don't think anyone expected Joe Thuney. I know I didn't. I saw it in the morning. I was like, what the hell is this?
I missed it. It's
Like, there's
one
no
where
way.
the dots were there, like the dots were connected in front of us. But to me, I just never thought that the Chiefs would trade him. Now a lot of people I've heard Chiefs reporters after the fact talk about like once we franchise tagged Trey Smith, we knew that Joe Tooney was gone, but none of them were talking about that beforehand. So it's question to me. I just thought Joe Tooney is so good and he's such a leader that they weren't going to move on from him.
Yeah, I mean, because even with Trey Smith, I mean, it's not like he's playing left guard.
Yeah, but I understand why. I mean, everyone
No, I
knows
get
why
it.
they did it. He's 7 years younger. I mean, Trey Smith is 7 years younger. If you have to choose between the two, you're going with Trey Smith.
Hmm.
Hair Bear in the chat. Good to see you, my man. Let's see.
Yeah, it's like J2K was saying that it looks like Shelton might be heading back to the Rams to back up Limmer.
Dang it, as a backup too. Weird that they wouldn't even let him compete for the spot. But yeah, I actually thought Shelton would possibly end up as a starting center again. Tough though.
Yeah, as they were saying in the chat here, I think Aston Genty is in play now. I think the likelihood has gone up. It really depends on what the Raiders do. Yeah.
I have one? Did I make an Ash? The Ashton. So to me, yeah, the Raiders are the pick right there. As soon as when the Raiders traded for Geno Smith, because right after we signed Joe Tooney and Jonah Jackson, I was like, look, if we get the center, Drew Dalman, like we just did today, I believe Ashton Jenney's definitely an option. My biggest worry, though, would be the Raiders, because after trading for Geno Smith, Ashton Genty makes too much sense for the Raiders. But reports this morning on NFL Network, I've been watching NFL Network all day, are that the Raiders are strongly pursuing the free agent running back market. So I'm watching the Raiders, and what I'm hoping for here, if you're an Ashton Genty fan or if you're someone who's looking for Ashton Genty, something to watch in free agency is if the Raiders sign a running back, someone like Najee Harris. I think, Walt, you're the one who mentioned that to me this morning, right?
Yeah.
Najee Harris to the Raiders would make a ton of sense. If that happens, that opens up the door for Ashton Genty. I'm just letting you guys know. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, love the kid or hate the kid, it is what it is.
Yep.
He's a stud.
100%. We've been live an hour and a half, guys. If you have any final questions, probably get off here so me and Walt can both make a video on this our first signing. But I will be back if we sign anybody else. It's could be a crazy day. More moves could be coming, but I did want to hang out for a while in case. Walt, do you have any final thoughts on this one?
I don't know, man. I'm just waiting to see what happens the rest of the day. It's kind of
It's
lulled out a little bit from the beginning, but I don't know. I'm still gonna go pray to the football gods that Chase Young shows up in a Bears uniform by the end of today.
that's my hope, man. The Chase Young would probably be the dream for me right now. If we could get
Yeah,
Chase Young, this is just an A+ off season before we even get to the draft, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, I think if we end up going that route, 10 is who knows where we're gonna go. We can trade back. We can get Josh Simmons. We can do a whole lot of stuff.
One more thought on this though: the fact that we got Dalman for 42 million, and the Titans signed a player that is a lot worse. He might play left tackle, but Dan Moore Jr. for $82 million
Hmm.
is insane. That's just crazy to me. This Drew Dalman signing is awesome. Noah, thank you so much for the super chat. He says that he's so excited. Who is your dream signing for your next move? I think we already know Waltz is Chase Young.
Yeah.
Um, I'm I think Chase Young is up there. I'll pull up my list again real quick, and honestly, anyone on this list would make me happy. Any player on this list would make me happy. If I had to pick one, Chase Young is probably the top guy, but I also really like Matthew Judon if you could get him cheap. Grady Jarrett would be awesome. Joey Bosa, Jonathan Allen, Levi Onwuzurike. There's just a lot of players. If I had to pick one, I'll pick one. I'm going with Walt. I'm saying Chase Young. I like Chase Young. He's just been a personal favorite of mine since he was at Ohio State.
Hmm.
So to me, I'm like, I like him. So
Well, I mean, as
I
far as
wouldn't
I
be
know,
against
too,
Chase Young.
he still trains with Montez Sweat.
He's good friends with Montez Sweat. He worked under Dennis Allen last season. I think for a lot of reasons, Chase Young makes sense. A lot of people in the chat saying Josh Sweat. I like Josh Sweat as well. We talked about it earlier. If you guys weren't here, I just think he's going to get overpaid to me. Well, hey, Walt, I appreciate you so much for coming on, guys. If you haven't seen it, check out the Bear Report, Walt's channel on YouTube. And everyone stay tuned. We'll probably be back later today as the Bears continue to make more moves. But we have landed the best center in free agency, Drew Dalman, to the Chicago Bears. Welcome in. I couldn't be happier, man. This is a A+ signing for me.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Well, Walt, bear down, my guys.
All right, man. Bear down, guys.
And